Hi, welcome back to Primary Central Classroom's e-learning by Miss Williamson. Today we're going to be doing Module 6, Lesson 4, and today I have a unicorn on my hat. So I decided to wear my unicorn hat today because I really like unicorns. So if you have one of your favorite hats that you want to go and grab while we do this lesson, you can go and grab it. Today we're going to be learning how to represent equal groups with tape diagrams and relate them to repeated addition. So we're going to be using our tape diagrams today and do the repeated addition that we learned all last week. First, we're going to do our lesson, then we're going to do our exit ticket, and then we're going to do our homework. So right now, maybe the only thing you might want to grab is maybe a pencil and a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you some time to do that, and then we're going to jump right in, okay? All right, boys and girls, before we start with number 1, I know we just got back from the weekend. It's Monday. We're just waking up or we're just getting out of bed, but it's okay. You're just going to shake it off. We're going to start working. We're going to do number 1. We're going to go through each problem together. So just shake it all off, shake the weekend off, and then let's get started, okay? All right. So our first question, number 1, says, write a repeated addition equation to find the total of each diagram. So we're going to be looking at the total. We're going to be adding them all up, and then we're going to also be making a tape diagram. So let me make sure it doesn't fade. So we're also going to be making well, not making, but counting our groups on a tape diagram. So if you look just below, it looks like we're going to be working with some cups today. But instead of having those equal size circle groups, this time we're working with a tape diagram. And inside the tape diagram, the groups are sectioned off. So instead, let me grab my black pencil just to show you real quick. Instead of having circles with 2 cups in the inside, we have a tape diagram that is sectioned off into groups. So if you look in that first square, the first rectangle of the tape diagram, how many cups do you have in that first square of the tape diagram? 2, that's right. So I'm going to grab my red pencil and I'm going to write the number 2 in my first blank, the first add-in, because I only have 2 cups in that first group of the tape diagram. Then let's go to that next part. We have 2 cups in the second square of the tape diagram. So I'm going to write the number 2 down. And then if I go to the next square in my tape diagram, I have 2 more cups. And then if I go to the last square in my tape diagram, I have 2 cups. So it's just like the things we learned last week, except this time we're using a tape diagram that is sectioned off into squares that have our equal size groups in them. Now, if you look at our tape diagram, what do those cups represent in each square? That's right, they represent the number 2. And how many squares do we have in our tape diagram? 4. That's right, we have 4 equal squares in our tape diagram, just like last week when we learned 4 equal groups. Well, this time it's 4 equal squares that adds up to make a total to have our tape diagram. So let's see, let's add all of these cups up. Let's see, we could either skip count, we could count them individually. It's up to you. Whatever addition strategy you want to use to add up your tape diagram, it's up to you. I think for the first one, I'm going to do it by individual. Let's see. We have 1, 2 in the first square. We have 1, 2 in the second square. We have 1, 2 in our third square. And then we have 1, 2 in our fourth square. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cups in all. So I know that 2 cups plus 2 cups is 4. 4 cups plus 2 more cups is 6, and then 6 cups plus 2 more cups is 8. So I'm going to put 8 for my total, just like we learned last week. 8 total cups in all. If we put all of those equal squares together and to make our tape diagram, we have a total of 8 cups. Now let's go down to our sentence statement. Our sentence statement says 4 groups of 2. Are there 4 groups? Look at our tape diagram. Do you see that there's 4 equal squares? Right, there's 4 equal squares, meaning there's 4 groups that has how many cups in each? That's right, there's 2 in each square. So we have 4 groups of 2 equals how much? What was that total number? If we have 4 groups with 2 cups in it, how many cups do we have in all? We just found the answer. That's right. So I'm going to put the number 8 down. Good job. And that answers our sentence statements. 4 groups of 2 equals 8. And like I said, we're just laying the foundation so we'll be able to do our multiplication facts next year, and we'll understand that 4 groups of 2 equals 8 will eventually be the same thing as 4 times 2 equals 8. And that's what you'll be learning next year. So don't worry about that right now. If you don't totally get it, I'm just showing you what we're learning right now. Eventually, you're going to be able to do this equation that you see in black on the screen, okay? All right, let's go on to number 1, letter B. It's going to be doing the same thing as we did in letter A, except now this time we're working with spoons. So let's see, how many spoons do we have in each rectangle, in each equal group, each equal square? How many spoons do we have in each one? Well, I'm going to grab my red pencil and I'm going to count how many spoons do I have in each one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spoons. So I'm going to put the number 4 in my add-in. In my first blank, I'm going to put number 4 because that 4 represents the 4 spoons, the 4 pictures of spoons that you see in our rectangle. And when we look, all of those equal-sized rectangles add up to make a total number of spoons, which eventually we could call it our tape diagram. So let's see. Make sure it doesn't fade. Let's go to our next one. My next one has 1, 2, 3, 4 spoons as well. So I'm going to put the number 4. And then I'm going to go to the next equal size square. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spoons in that one. So I'm going to put the number 4 in my third blank, in my third equal group. I have 4 spoons. So that number 4 represents the 4 spoons in my third rectangle on my tape diagram. So then let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 spoons in the fourth equal square. So I'm going to put the number 4 to represent the 4 spoons in my fourth group of my tape diagram. And then in my last group, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spoons. I'm going to put the number 4. Now it's time to figure out what is our total. If I add all those 4s up, all of those spoons in each equal square, what am I going to get total for my tape diagram? That means the total number of spoons that I have in all of the tape diagram. So let's see, I could do 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. And then 16 plus 4 is 20. So I know that 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 20. So I'm going to write the number 20 down for my total because I know that I have a total of 20 spoons. When I add all of those spoons up, I have 20. Now, how many equal squares do we have? Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 equal squares or rectangles in that tape diagram. So I know that there are 5 equal groups. That's right. So let's look at our sentence statement. Our sentence statement says 5 groups of 4. So I'm going to put 4 because there are 5 rectangles with 4 spoons in each rectangle. So I know that 5 groups of 4 equals how much? 20. That's right, because we had a total of 20 spoons. Good job. And like I said, knowing that we have 5 groups of 4 equals 20, eventually we'll be able to see that 5 groups of 4 equals 20 is the same thing in 3rd grade. You'll learn that 5 times 4 equals 20. Okay? So we won't learn that this year in second grade, but it's just preparing you so you'll be ready when it's time to learn those multiplication facts next year. All right? So now let's go on to letter C. Letter C says we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 equal squares in our tape diagram. So we know that if there's 3 equal squares, rectangles, how many groups do we have? If there's 3 equal rectangles, that's right, we have 3 equal groups. So what number is in each square of our tape diagram? What number? The number 5, that's right. So now we're no longer working with pictures. Now we're only working with numbers. And so it's starting to become more and more and more abstract, meaning you have to really think about what you're doing, and you're not going to always have pictures to represent the numbers, okay? So for our first equal size square, we have the number 5. So I know that I'm going to put the number 5 in my first add-in blank. In the first blank, I'm going to put the number 5, because if I look, that's what I have in the first square rectangle of our tape diagram. Then I'm going to do 5 plus what's in our second square of the tape diagram. Yes, the number 5. So I'm going to put the number 5 right here. And then I'm going to have one more, and I'm going to put the number 5 for the last one, because in my last group, in that last rectangle, I have another number 5, and so I'm going to put 5 down in my third blank, and we're done. That's all you have to do. You see that there's 5 in the first group, 5 in the second group, and then there's 5 in that last group. Now it's time to add them all up and find the total. So first we know that 5 plus 5 is how much? That's right, it's 10. And then if I add 5 to 10, what do I have? 10 plus 5. That's right, I have 15. So I know that 5 plus 5 is 10, plus another 5 is 15. So I know that my total number for this tape diagram is 15. We have a total of 15. And then I know that so we have 3 rectangles, 3 equal side rectangles. If you look at our sentence statement, we have 3 groups of how many is in each equal size rectangle. We did this earlier. We did this last week. How many? Yes, there's 5, because we see that the number 5 is in each square of our tape diagram. So I'm going to 5 equals 15. All right, let's go down to our last one. So now we're going to be working with another tape diagram in letter D, except for this time we're going to be working with the number 3 and not 5. Now let's see. What is in each equal size rectangle in this tape diagram? What number? That's right, the number 3. So if I look down here at my blank, I'm going to represent that 3 in that tape diagram on my blanks when I'm adding them up, so we'll be able to find the total. So let's see. In my first blank, I'm going to put the number 3, because I have 3 in the first one. Then I add plus another 3, because there's a 3 in my second rectangle. Then I'm going to add another 3, because there's another 3 in my third group. And then I'm going to add plus 3, because there's 3 in my fourth group. And then I'm going to add another 3, because there's a 3 in my fifth group. And then I'm going to add one more 3, because there's a 3 in that last equal rectangle in my tape diagram. So what I did is I added all those 3's up in order to find the total. So let's see. What is 3 plus 3? 6. Good job. What is 6 plus 3? It's 9. Good job. What is 9 plus 3? Time to use some mental math. It's 12, and then 12 plus 3. It's 15, and then 15 plus 3 is 18. So I know that the total number in this tape diagram is 18. Good job. So we found our total. Good job, guys. Good job. You're getting good at this. So now let's see. We have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 18. Now you also could have skipped count by 3's. You could have said 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 means you skip count by 3, which we learned earlier in the year. And so also, we need to go down and we need to complete this sentence statement. But something looks different. This time they're not telling us how many groups we have. We got to go up here and we got to figure out how many groups do we have? How many equal squares do we have? So let's see. I know, let me grab my green pencil and let's circle how many equal squares. So my first square, rectangle, I have 1 equal square, 2 equal squares, 3 equal squares, 4 equal squares, and then we have 5 equal squares, and then we have 6 equal squares. So now we know how many equal squares we have. We have 6. So that means we have 6 equal squares, mean we have 6 equal groups. So I'm going to get my red pencil and I'm going to put 6 groups of blank. 6 groups of what? In each equal size square, what number do we have? That's right, we have the number 3. So 6 groups of 3 equals what total number? What did we find? That's right, 6 groups of 3 is the same as having a total of 18, because I know that 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 18. So I'm going to put 18 right here in the blank, because 6 groups of 3 equals 18. And just like I said earlier, I'm going to show you how this relates to multiplication that you're going to learn later in 3rd grade. And that's saying the same thing as 6 groups of 3 is the same thing as 6 times 3 equals a total of 18. Good job, boys and girls, for learning this first page. So we're going to move on, go to the next page. And so if you need to take a break, use the bathroom, go grab a snack, you can go and do that. Just smash pause, and then I'll be waiting for you when you get back, okay? All right, boys and girls, so now it's time for us to go on to number 2, letter A. Now this time, number 2 tells us we're going to be drawing, let me grab my red pencil, we're going to draw a tape diagram to find the total. So we're still adding. We're doing our repeated addition equation. So on number 2, letter A, they already gave us the repeated addition equation. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. They already gave us that. This time we have to work backwards, and now we have to draw our equal squares, our tape diagram, to show and represent 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So first, I'm going to grab my black pencil to draw my tape diagram, because first there's, let's see, how many groups do we have? Well, first I'm going to have 1 for the first 3, so I'm going to grab my blue pencil, and I'm going to draw 3 dots to represent that first 3 that we have in our repeated addition equation. Then I'm going to draw another equal square, and I'm going to draw the next 3 circles. 1, 2, 3. So now that represents that 3. Now I'm going to go on and I'm going to draw another equal square, and I'm going to represent the next 3 in my repeated addition equation. And it has 1, 2, 3. That represents this 3 in our repeated addition equation. And then there's one more box left, one more equal size square in my tape diagram, and that's going to represent 1, 2, 3, my last 3 in my repeated addition equation now. Like we said, we've moving away from drawing pictures, meaning we drew the circles just so you could see how each number 3 represents 3 in each part of our tape diagram. But I'm going to go over to the side and I'm going to show you what our tape diagram is really supposed to look like. So first, I'm going to draw this rectangle to represent my tape diagram. And I'm going to draw how many equal size squares did we have when we first drew our first tape diagram. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 equal size groups. So I'm going to draw 4, 1, 2, and then I have 3, 4 squares, 4 equal size groups in my tape diagram. Well, what do we have in each equal size square? How many circles did we have? We have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write the number 3 is what we're trying to get to. Write the number 3. That's 3. And then what's in the next part? It's going to be 3 again, because in my second equal size group over here, we have 1, 2, 3 circles. So I have the number 3 in the second group. Then I'm going to put what number in the third group? Equal size square, 3, and then what number goes in that last blank? The number 3 again, because we had 3 circles in each equal size square. And so now I drew a tape diagram to find the total. Now, what is my total going to be? Now that we added it all up, what is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3? Well, I know 3 plus 3 is 6, plus another 3 is 7, 8, 9, plus another 3 is how much? That's right, it's 12. So I'm going to write the number 12, because 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. And like we said, we could write our sentence statement, and we know that 4 groups, because there's 4 equal squares, 4 groups of how many? What is in each equal group? 3. 4 groups of 3 equals what total number? What is 4 groups of 3? That's right, it's 12. So we have 4 groups of 3 equal 12. And we have that represented right above in the tape diagram that we drew. Good job. Let's go on to letter B. Okay, letter B is the same thing. I'm going to grab my black pencil and we're going to draw a tape diagram again for letter B. So I'm going to draw a tape diagram, and I'm going to draw the pictures first. So how many, if I was to make this into an equal size square, how many circles would I put in my first equal sized square? I would put 4. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, because that represents this 4 right here. So I'm going to circle it. Good job. Then I'm going to draw another equal sized group. And what goes in that second square? 4, because there's another 4 right here. And so I'm going to add 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. And then there's one more equal size square left at the end of my tape diagram. What number goes in there? That's right, it's going to be 4. The last 4 in my repeated addition equation. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have 4 in each equal size square, 4 circles. But now I want to make it into my tape diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my black pencil again and go off to the side. And we're going to redraw our tape diagram to what it's really supposed to look like. So now, how many equal sized groups? How many, what number is going to go in each equal size square of our equation? So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3. There's going to be 3 equal sized groups because we had 1, 2, 3 equal sized squares in our first tape diagram. So we're going to have 3 equal squares in our diagram when we do our numbers. And so what number goes in each one? We have 4 in this group, 4 in this group, and then we're going to have 4 in this group because there were 4 circles in each equal sized square of our tape diagram. And now it's time for us to find our total for our repeated addition equation. So I'm going to do 4 plus 4 is 8, and then 8 plus 4 is how much? That's right, it's 12. So I'm going to put 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. And that's the same thing as saying what in our sentence statements? How many groups do we have in this tape diagram? How many equal size squares? That's right, we have 3. So I'm going to put 3 groups of how many? How many circles? What number did we put in each equal size square, each equal size group of our tape diagram? 4. We had 3 groups of 4 equals a total of how much? 12. Good job. And so now we're going to move on to number 2, C and D. So just give me a second and we're going to get right into it, okay? Okay, boys and girls, now it's time for us to do number 2, letter C. So it says 5 groups of 2. And what we're supposed to be doing is drawing our tape diagram. Now let's look at this. Let me grab my red pencil. It says that we have to find 5 groups. So that tells me that there's supposed to be 5 groups in my tape diagram, meaning there's supposed to be 5 equal sized squares in my tape diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my black pencil and I'm going to draw a rectangle. Uh-oh, that's not black. Okay, I'm going to draw my black rectangle to represent my tape diagram, just like this. So I have my tape diagram, but I need to put 5 equal-sized squares in each, or rectangles in the tape diagram. So I'm going to get, and I'm going to draw, that's 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, and then that's 4, 5 groups. So let's see, how many squares, how many equal-sized squares, how many equal-sized groups do I have in my tape diagram? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 equal squares inside of my tape diagram. So that's 5 groups, 5 equal squares in my tape diagram. And then my sentence statement above says 5 groups of 2. So there's 2 in each one. So I'm gonna grab my red pencil because I know there's 5 groups of 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put 2 inside of my first equal size square. And then I know if I was writing a repeated addition equation that I would put 2 plus how much is going to go inside of my next equal sized group. 2 again, because I have 5 groups of 2. So if I look right below it, that's 2 plus another 2. Good job. And then I'm going to put plus what number? What's going to be next? What's going to go in our next equal size square? Our next equal size group is going to be 2 because I have 5 groups of 2. So I'm going to show that right above, just like that. And then I'm going to add another 2. So I'm going to put 2 here, right above And we have, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. And then we have one more equal size square left. So I'm going to add one more number. What number am I going to add? I'm going to add 2. So I'm going to represent that by putting 2 in my last equal size group of my tape diagram. And then I wrote my repeated addition equation at the bottom. If you could see, I have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals how much? 10. That's right. So I know that my repeated addition equation, I have a total of 10 in all. And so I know when I add those 2's up in my 5 groups of 2, there's going to give me a total of 10 inside of my tape diagram. So 5 groups of 2 is the same as this tape diagram that has 2 in each equal size square in each equal size group. And then the repeated addition equation for this tape diagram and sentence statement is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 10. Good job. Okay, same thing for letter D. We're going to be doing 4 groups of 4. Again, how many groups will we be working with today? We're going to be working with 4 groups. So that means I'm going to have 4 equal groups, 4 equal size squares inside of the tape diagram that I'm going to be drawing. So let me grab my black pencil and I'm going to make sure it doesn't fade, and then we're going to draw our tape diagram. So I'm going to draw a rectangle just like this to represent the tape diagram. Now, we said that we're going to have 4 groups of 4, so I'm going to have 4 equal size squares. So let's draw those squares in, okay? So that's 1 square, 2 squares, and then that's 3 squares. So we have our 4 and 3, 4. We have our 4 equal size groups, 4 equal size squares inside of our tape diagram. Now, what's going to be in each equal size group? 4 groups of how many? 4. So we're going to have 4 inside of each equal size square. So let me grab my red pencil, and I'm going to put the number 4 inside of my first group, because we have 4 groups of 4, and then I'm going to do my repeated addition equation right below it so we can add it all up to find a total. So then I'm going to put 4 below, and then we're going to add how much more? 4 again, so I'm going to put 4 inside of my tape diagram. So I'm going to bring it down and do 4 plus 4. Good job. And then we're going to add another 4 because we're doing 4 groups of 4. So I'm going to put 4 inside of my tape diagram and bring that 4 down as well. And then we have one more blank left. And what's going to go in that? 4. Good job. So I'm going to put 4 in my tape diagram and then 4 in my repeated addition equation. And so now it's time for us to find the answer to this repeated addition equation and find the total number that we have inside of our tape diagram. So let's see, what's 4 plus 4? 8. And what's 8 plus 4? 12. And then 12 plus 4 is 16. Good job, guys. So we have 16, a total of 16 inside of our tape diagram and a total in our repeated addition equation. And so we know that 4 groups of 4 is the same thing as saying you have a total of 16, which is the same thing inside of our tape diagram. And so we know that 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals a total of 16. Good job. Okay, boys and girls, it's almost time for us to wrap up today's lesson, then we'll move on to our exit ticket. So in this last part, to letter E, we're going to be working with some teddy bears. And so Miss Williamson really liked teddy bears, and I don't know if do you guys have a favorite teddy bear? Well, that's awesome because we're going to be working with teddy bears today. So let's see. Before we get started, we're supposed to be drawing a tape diagram, but this time they didn't give us a number sentence. They didn't give us a repeated addition equation. They didn't give us anything but pictures. And so we're going to be drawing a tape diagram around these equal size squares, these equal size groups of teddy bears. We're going to make a tape diagram with pictures inside of it. So let's think about this. First, we're going to draw a rectangle around the whole set, the whole list of teddy bears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle to be my tape diagram, and then we're going to divide it up into the equal size groups that they have. Okay, and so we have, let's see, make sure it doesn't fade. We have how many teddy bears in that first group, that first square we're going to make? How many teddy bears is that in that space? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to draw a square around those 5 teddy bears to equal those 5 teddy bears in that first group. And then let's go to the next set. How many is in this group before we make our equal size square? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put a line here to be the equal size group because I have 5 in each group. If we look at our tape diagram, how many teddy bears? Ooh, excuse me. How many teddy bears are in each equal size square, in each equal size group? How many is there? That's right, there's 5. There's 5 teddy bears. So now I'm going to grab my red pencil and I'm going to write in a repeated addition equation to represent my tape diagram. So let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my first group. And then how many teddy bears in that next group above? 5 teddy bears in my second group. And then how many in that last group down there in our tape diagram? We have 5 in our last group. And now it's time for us to find the total inside of our tape diagram, and we're going to use this repeated addition equation to help us figure it out. So how many is it? Is it 5 plus 5 plus 5? That's right. We're going to add all of those up, all of those teddy bears up to find a total. So how many is it? 5 plus 5 is how much? 10 plus another 5. 10 plus 5 is how much? 15. So we know in our repeated addition equation that 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. And if you would have counted those teddy bears up one by one, if you count them all up, you'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 teddy bears in all inside of this tape diagram. And so if I was to write our sentence statement, we'd write how many groups? How many groups would we have? That's right, we would have 3 groups of how many? Was in each equal size square, in each equal size groups. 3 groups of 5, and that's supposed to be an S. 3 groups of 5 teddy bears. And we also could have redrew that tape diagram and only put numbers in it. So instead of having the pictures, like we said, we're moving away from the pictures and we're going to be using numbers, I could have drawn a tape diagram, and I'm just going to draw it right above. I could have drew a tape diagram that looks like this instead of having pictures. So just ignore this. We would have 1 group, 3 groups, right? 1, 2, 3 groups of what number in each one? How many teddy bears? That's right. We would have 5 in each equal size square, in each equal size group to make our final tape diagram. So boys and girls, that wraps up our lesson for today. We're going to move on to our exit ticket in just a minute. So if you want to take a little water break, go get a snack, go to the bathroom, and just relax for just a quick second, and then we're going to get started in a couple of minutes to finish our exit ticket, okay? Okay, boys and girls, so for our exit ticket, you might want to grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and we're going to draw our questions on our piece of paper. So it tells us that we're going to be draw a tape diagram to find the total in all. So number 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. So just like this, you might want to draw 4 stars, and then we're going to draw over, and we're going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 more stars. So I drew 4 more stars. And then we're going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 stars on your piece of paper for number 1. So now I'm going to work it out on the screen while you work it out on your piece of paper. Okay? So it says, let me make sure it doesn't fade. Draw a tape diagram to find the total amount. So what I want you guys to do for a second is take the time. I want you to draw a tape diagram with these pictures like we learned in our lesson earlier. And then I want you to find the total number of stars that you'll have in your tape diagram. You can use your repeated addition equation to help you. You can draw the numbers inside of the tape diagram. Use any of those strategies we learned today to help answer this question. And then I'm going to come back in a second, okay? All right, let's work out this problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a tape diagram around the actual pictures because they didn't give us a sentence statement. They didn't give us a tape diagram with numbers in it, and they didn't give us a repeated addition equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle to start off my tape diagram just like this. And then I'm going to divide them up into equal-sized squares, equal-sized groups with some number of stars in each group. So let's see. What's in this first group right here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. So I'm going to put a line down right between these two groups because I have 4 stars inside of that first equal group, that first equal square of my tape diagram. Then let's go on. Let's count the next group. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 inside of my second equal-sized group of my tape diagram, and then we finish. We have one more group, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the last group of our tape diagram. So now it's time for us to draw a repeated addition equation to represent this tape diagram. Okay, so what I'll have, I'm going to draw my get my red pencil, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stars in that first group. So I'm going to put the number 4 down right here, and then I'm going to add plus how many stars are in my second group in my tape diagram? 4. Good job. And then how much is in my next or my last group inside my tape diagram? The last equal size square. That's right, there's 4. So I have 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals how much in all? How much total do we have? How many total stars do we have in all? So we have 4 stars plus 4 stars is 8. 8 plus 4, let's use mental math, it's 12. So we have a total of 12 stars in all. And so we used the tape, we made a tape diagram to find the total number of stars. Good job. All right, now let's go on to number 2. So what you might want to do is grab your pencil and paper, and you're going to write the number 2, and you're going to write 3 groups of 3 down on your piece of paper, and it's going to look something like this. I know it may be backwards, but just so you can see how it's supposed to look on the paper. Okay, 3 groups of 3. Now, the same thing we did earlier in our lessons, we know that we're working with 3 groups of 3. So I'm going to pause it for a second, or you can pause it and you can work out this problem. You're going to make a tape diagram out of 3 groups of 3. So remember, your tape diagram should have 3 groups with a total of however many that you see inside of your sentence statement. Okay? All right, so now let's solve this problem. So we have 3 groups of 3. So I know that I'm going to have 3 equal-sized groups, 3 equal-sized squares inside of my tape diagram for this equation, for this sentence statement. So I'm going to grab my black pencil, and I'm going to draw my tape diagram, a rectangle to represent the tape diagram, and then I know there's going to be 3 equal-sized groups, 3 equal-sized squares. So what I'm going to do I'm going to draw a line here to be one equal size square or one equal size group. Then I'm going to draw another one right here to equal the second equal size group. And then I have one more on the end. That's my last equal size group. So I have three equal size squares, three equal size groups inside of my tape diagram. Now, what number is going to go inside of each equal size group? Because our sentence statement says three groups of three. That's right. We're going to put three inside of each tape diagram. So I'm going to write 3 in the first group. And so that means for my repeated addition equation, I'm going to put 3 plus how much goes in my next equal size group of my tape diagram? 3. Good job. So I'm going to put 3 for my repeated addition equation at the bottom. And then what's going to go in that last equal size group? Because we have three groups of 3. That's right. So I'm going to put the number 3 here, and I'm going to put plus 3 more. And now it's time to find the total after we relate it. We see how our tape diagram is the same thing as our repeated addition equation. So now we're going to do 3 plus 3 equals 6 plus 3 equals 9. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. And so we made our tape diagram. 3 groups of 3. So we put 3 in each equal size group of our tape diagram. And then we made a repeated addition equation so we can find the total. 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. Good job. Now let's move on to the next one, okay? All right, now it's time for us to move on and do number 3. So we're going to write number 3 down on our piece of paper. And we have 2 plus 2. So I'm going to write 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals blank. So you're going to do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 on your paper, kind of like this. That's just a scratch out. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals, and then you're going to try to draw a tape diagram to represent this repeated addition equation. So I know when I'm doing this, I'm going to grab my black pencil. I'm going to draw a rectangle to represent my tape diagram. And so looking at this, I know I'm going to have a number of groups, but how many groups? We don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw that repeated addition equation right below my tape diagram. So I'm going to do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals blank. So now what I did is I got this, I redrew 2 plus 2 plus 2, and I brought it down here, as you can see. So now it's time for me to make my equal sized groups. So I know in order to do that first 2, I'm going to do 2. So let me grab my green pencil, and I'm going to put 2 on my red pencil. I'm going to put 2 inside of my tape diagram to represent that first 2 that we have right here. Then I'm going to add another equal size square, and I'm going to do 2. Let me get a red pencil. 2 to represent in my repeated addition equation the second 2. Then I'm going to add another equal sized group to equal my next 2. So I'm going to grab I'm going to put 2 in this blank, and then I'm going to grab my black pencil and I'm going to make another equal size group for my last couple of 2s. And remember, this one is for the third 2. And now I'm going to draw my next 2 plus 2. And so that takes care of this 2. And then I have one more 2 left right here. And I'm going to put 2 down in the last equal size square. So now we have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. What does that equal? If I have 2 plus 2, that's 4, plus 2 more, that's 6, plus 2 more, that's 8, plus 2 more is, how much is that in all? 10. So I know that 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 10. And so I drew my tape diagram to represent that repeated addition equation, and I have a total of 2 in each equal sized square in my tape diagram, which adds up to a total of 10. Good job. So that takes care of our exit ticket for today. Now we're going to move on to our homework in just a second, okay? All right, now it's time to do our homework. Number 1 says, write a repeated addition equation to find the total of each tape diagram. So we're still working with our tape diagrams, and this time in letters A and B, we're going to be working with pictures. So it's pretty easy. Let me grab my red pencil. So we're going to be writing a repeated addition equation to find the total amount. So we're looking for the total amount in each tape diagram. And yes, in each tape diagram. So let me make sure it doesn't fade. Let's look at this tape diagram below with the bicycles. So we have a tape diagram, and in each equal square in our tape diagram, there's a number of bikes. So let's look at this first equal square. We have 1, 2, 3 bikes in our first equal square. We have 1, 2, 3 in our second equal square. We have 1, 2, 3 in our third equal square, and then we have 1, 2, 3 in our last, in our fourth equal square. And we're going to add all of those up to get a total for our tape diagram. So let's see. If there's 3 in the first one, I'm going to put 3 in my first blank. And then there's 1, 2, 3 in my second equal square. And then there's 1, 2, 3 in my third equal square. And then there's 1, 2, 3 in my last equal square. So now I have my repeated addition equation, and now I just have to find the total for that equation. So let's see, we could skip count 3, 6, 9, 12 by 3, skip count by 3s, or we could do 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 more is 9, and then 9 plus 3 is 12. Or we could do what? Count them individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we know that 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So we have a total of 12 bikes in all for our repeated addition equation, which means we have 12 bikes for our tape diagram. And if we go down below for our sentence statement, it says 4 groups of 3. So we have 4 groups of 3. What does that have a total of? We have 4 groups, 4 equal squares in our tape diagram with 3 bikes in each. How many is that? How many bikes is that in all? That's 12. Good job. So 4 groups of 3 equals 12. All right, let's move on down on number 1B. 1B for our homework is working with skateboards. Now, Miss Williamson could not ride a skateboard. I have tried, and every time I almost land on my bottom. Now, some of you may know how to ride a skateboard, but I sure don't. So maybe one day you guys can teach me so I'll know how to ride a skateboard. So for number 1B, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skateboards in one equal square. So I'm going to grab my red pencil again, and I see that we have 1 equal square, 2 equal squares, 3 equal squares, 4 equal squares, 5 equal squares. So 5 equal squares means we have 5 groups, and then in each equal square we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skateboards. So I know below in my repeated addition equation, I'm going to put the number 5 right here because there's 5 skateboards in that first equal square. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the next square. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the next square. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this square. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this square. So we have 5 in each equal square, in each equal group. So we have 5 plus 5 equals 10. And then 10 plus 5 is 15. And then 15 plus 5 is 20. And then 20 plus 5 is 25. So we have 25 total skateboards. Woo! That's a lot of skateboards. Actually, I think that's enough skateboards for everybody in our class to have a skateboard. So we have a total of 25 skateboards in all. So let's see. Now it's time to complete our sentence statement. It says 5 groups of blank equals blank. Okay, we know that we have 5 equal groups, 5 equal squares in our tape diagram, but 5 groups of what? What is in each equal square? That's right. There's 5 skateboards in each equal square. So I know that it's 5 groups of 5. Good job. So I have 5 groups of 5 equals how much? 5 groups of 5 equals how much? 25. Because if I have 5 groups and in each group there's 5 skateboards, that means I have a total of 25 skateboards. Good job. And now we're going to move on to letter C. Okay? All right, let's go on to letter C. So C tells us that we're going to complete this repeated addition equation, but we're working with numbers this time and we're not working with pictures. So instead of like in A and B where we had pictures of bikes and skateboards, now we only have numbers. We only have the number 4 in letter C that we're going to be working with our tape diagram. So I'm going to grab my red pencil and let's get started. So in our tape diagram, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal size squares, 4 equal groups. And inside each equal group, what number is it? The number 4, that's right. So in my first group, I know that I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, the number 4. So in my blank, I'm gonna put 4 in my repeated addition equation to go for that first equal group. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in that group, number 4. Then in my next group, let me change it so it doesn't fade. I have what number? The number 4 again. So I'm going to put 4 down in my repeated addition equation. So I have 4 down. 4 down in my repeated addition equation. Now let's go to the next equal size group. We have 4 again. So I'm going to put 4 down in my repeated addition equation. 4 plus 4 plus 4. But I still have one more blank left, and that's good because in my tape diagram, I have one more equal size square that has a 4 in it. That's right. So I'm going to put 4 down on my repeated addition equation. Now it's time for us to find the total amount in our tape diagram. When we add all of those 4s up together, add all of those numbers up in our tape diagram, what is our total? Now we could count, we could do skip count, we could add them up. You choose, whichever is up to you. You pick the strategy that you're most comfortable with, that you think is the easiest. So what we could do first is we could do 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 4 more is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So I know that 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals, that's right, 16. So I'm going to put 16 right here. So that means inside of that tape diagram where I have 4 equal groups, 4 equal squares with 4, the number 4 in each square, I know that there's a total of 16 in all when I add those numbers up all together. So if there's 4 equal squares, that's how many groups? That's right, there's 4 equal groups. So I know in my number sentence below, sentence statement, it says 4 groups of blank. So we know we have 4 equal squares with what number is in each square. That's right, there's 4. So I'm going to put the number 4 right here, 4 groups of 4 equals how much? 4 groups of 4 equals how much? 16. So I'm going to put 16 right here. So 4 groups of 4 equals 16. Good job. And so we're going to do the same thing again when we go to letter D. It's the same thing as C, except this time we have a different number inside of our equal size squares in our tape diagram. What number are we working with in this problem? Exactly. We're working with the number 2. So what we're going to do, I'm going to grab my red pencil again. And we're going to get started, and we're going to write down the number that's going to go into our repeated addition equation so we can find the total amount inside of our tape diagram. So in our first group, in our first equal size group, we have 2. So I'm going to write the number 2. And then if I go to the next equal size group, I have another 2. And then if I go to the next equal size group, I have 2. And then if I add another one, I have 2. And then if I add another equal size group, what number is in that equal size group? 2. And then our last one, we have how many? We have 2. That's right. So now what I want to do is I want to see how many groups do we have, because our sentence statement below is telling us that there's a number of groups, but we got to figure out how many equal size groups, how many equal size squares do we have. So what I'm going to do, I see that we have 1 equal size square, we have 2 equal size squares or groups, then we have 3 equal size groups, and then we have 4 equal size groups, and then we have 5 equal size groups, and then we have 6 equal size groups, 6 squares, 4 equal size square, 6 equal size squares, 6 equal groups. So I'm going to put that we have 6 groups of how many? How many is in each equal size group? There's 2. So I'm going to put the number 2. 6 groups of 2 equals how much? Now we got to answer this for both our repeated addition equation and our sentence statement. So let's see. 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus 2 more is 6. Plus 2 more is 8. Plus 2 more is 10. Plus 2 more is 10 plus 2, mental math, 12. So I'm going to put in my repeated addition equation that the answer is 12. And so for this next one on our sentence statement, we can see that 6 groups of 2, which is in my tape diagram, which is also in my repeated addition equation, is the same thing as 6 groups of 2 has a total of how much? 12. So I know that 6 groups of 2 equals 12. And just like I said earlier in this lesson, as I stated last week in our lessons, that 6 groups of 2 equals 12 is the same thing as saying that 6 times or multiplied times 2 equals 12. And so you're going to learn that next year when you get to 3rd grade, okay? And so now we're going to go and we're going to finish our last page of our homework for today, okay? Okay, boys and girls, now it's time for us to wrap up our homework, and let's start with number 2. It says draw a tape diagram. So I'm going to get my red pencil to find the total. So we're going to draw a tape diagram to find the total. So we're going to be adding when we do our repeated addition equation to find the total that we get in all. Now to draw my tape diagram, I always use my black pencil. So let me get it and make sure that it doesn't fade. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw our tape diagram first. We're just going to draw the rectangle right here, right? So now we have our tape diagram, but we have to make them into some equal sized groups, and we got to figure out how many equal sized groups are we going to have. Well, I know by looking at this first one, I'm going to add 5. Looking at this, so I know I'm going to add 5, so that's one group. So I'm going to draw an equal size square right there. And then I'll look at the next one, plus 5. So I'm going to make another equal sized group. And then I'm going to do plus 5 more. So that's another equal sized group. And then I have one more, and that's be my last group right here. 5 more. So now, how many equal sized squares, how many equal sized groups do we have in all? That's right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I have 4 groups. So let's see, if I was to rewrite my repeated addition equation beneath, I will have 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, and then we're going to find the total. So what goes in that first square at the top? 5. That's right, because we have 5 in our first equal size group. Then what goes in the next one? 5 again. That's right. And then what goes in our next one? 5. That's right. And then what goes in our last equal sized group? Equal sized square? 5. So we made our take diagram, and that's what number 2 told us. We said we have to draw a take diagram to find the total. Now let's find the total. We have to add all of those numbers up, each 5, add them up to find out what is our total. So we have 5 plus 5 equals how much? 10, and then 5 plus 10 is 15, and then 15 plus 5 is 20. So we know that 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 20. We also could have skipped count by 5s. That means counting by 5s. We could have did 5, 10, 15, 20. Good job. We could have skipped count by 5s, or we could have added them all up to get a total of 20. So that means we have how many groups? That's right. We have 4 equal size squares. So that means 4 groups of how many in each group? 4 groups of how much? How many in each group? 5. We had the number 5. So 4 groups of 5 equals 20. Good job. Now let's move on to letter B. Same thing again, except for this equation, number sentence, we're going to be working with the number, what number? 4. We're doing 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So let's grab our black pencil, and then we're going to draw our tape diagram again. Make it a little longer because I see we have more numbers than the previous question. And now let's set up our tape diagram. Let's look. We have the first 4. So that's going to be my first group, right? So 4. Then I'm going to add up. Let me grab my red pencil. Sorry about that. We're going to get 4. All right. Then, so that's that 4. And then we're going to draw this 4 in. So let me do the next 4 in red. And you could have did this either way, as long as you end up with the same amount. So that's my second group. And then I have this next 4. So I'm going to grab my red pencil and draw that 4 in. And that makes a new group. Okay. And then we have this 4. So we add another 4, another group of 4. Right here. And then we have one more group to go in this last section right here. And so the last 4 that we have in our repeated addition equation, get my red pencil, is 4. So now we put our repeated addition equation and we put it on our tape diagram. And so now it's 4 plus 4 right beneath it, plus 4 again, plus 4 plus how many? 4 again. That's good. Good job. So now it's time for us to find the total in our repeated addition equation. How much do we have in our whole tape diagram? We know that each equal size square has how much? In each square, we have 4, but we need to add them all up so we can get the total that's in our tape diagram. So what's 4 plus 4? 8. And then what's 8 plus 4? 12. And then 12 plus 4? 16. And then 16 plus 4? 20. Good job. So we now have 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 20. And now it's time for us to make our sentence statement. So we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal squares, 5 equal groups. So I know in my sentence statement, I'm going to put 5 groups of how many? What was in each equal square? That's right, there was 4 in each equal square on our tape diagram. So I'm going to put 5 groups of, so let me finish writing it, 5 groups of 4 equals how much? 20. Good job, because we found that it was 20 in all. Good job. So we answered 2A and 2B. Now we're going to go down. We're going to do 2C and 2D and wrap up our homework, okay? Okay, now it's time to do letter C. Letter C says we're going to make 4 groups of 2. So we're going to draw a tape diagram that has 4 groups of 2. So when it says we have 4 groups and we're making a tape diagram, how many equal squares are we going to have in our tape diagram if it says 4 groups? That's right, 4 equal groups means 4 equal squares. So when I draw my my tape diagram, I'm going to make it long enough so I can make 4 equal size groups or 4 equal squares. So in order to make 4 groups, I'm going to make 1, that's 1 group, 2 groups, and then make sure it doesn't fade, and then 1 more, and then now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 equal size squares in my tape diagram. That's 4 equal groups. And it says on letter C that I need 4 groups of 2. So if there's 4 groups of 2, that means I'm going to be adding 2 in each group. So I'm going to write the number 2 down in each group. So that's 2 in the first group, in the second group, and then there's 2 in the third group, and then there's 2 in the fourth group. So now I have 2 in each group. I have 4 groups with the number 2 in each equal size square, in each equal size group. So now it's time for me to write my repeated addition equation so I can figure out the total amount that I have inside my tape diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 2 right here for that 2. Plus 2 for that group, and then 2 plus 2 for my next group, and then plus 2 for my last group. And now I've made my repeated addition equation for that tape diagram. So now let's find the answer. What is 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 is 4, plus another 2 is 6. Good job. And then 6 plus 2 is 8. That's right, there's 8. So we're going to put 8 right there. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8. So now I found the answer. 4 groups of 2 equals 8. Good job. And we made our tape diagram. Now let's move on to letter D. We're going to do the same thing as we did in letter C, except this time we have a different number of groups, a different set of squares we're going to be working with. So it says 5 groups of 5. So whenever I make my tape diagram, how many equal size groups, how many equal size squares are I'm going to have? 5. That's right, because the question says 5 groups. We're going to be working with 5 groups. So let me draw my tape diagram. Let me make my square because I'm going to be making it with 5 equal squares this time instead of 4. So put that right there. So let's do let's make our 5 equal squares. So I need, that'll be 1 square, and then that'll be 2 squares, and then this is going to be 3 squares, and then 4 and 5 squares. So now we have 5 equal squares, 5 groups, like the letter D says, 5 groups of how many is going to go in each square? 5 groups of how many? 3, that's right. So let me grab my red pencil, and I'm going to put 3 in each equal size group. So I'm going to put 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. Good job. So now it's time for us to add. So we're going to do our repeated addition equation. So we're going to do 3 plus 3 plus, that's another 3 in my third group, plus 3 in my fourth group, plus 3 in my fifth group. So now I need to figure out what is my answer to this repeated addition equation that matches my tape diagram. So let's see, we could skip count or we can add them all up. Either way is fine with me. Whichever way you choose, we're going to do. This time, I think I want to skip count. So let's try it. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I skipped count by 3 and I got a total of 15 because 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 15. So if I would have added all of those up instead of skip counting, I would have did 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 more is 9, plus 3 more, 9 plus 3 is 12, and then 12 plus 3 is 15. It's the same thing as skip counting, except I just added them all up instead of skipping them. So my total would be 15. So I have 5 groups, 5 equal squares in my tape diagram of 3. Good job. And we have a total of 15 in all. Now let's wrap up today's homework with letter E. So I'm going to grab my black pencil, and now we're going to create a tape diagram around these pictures. And it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 groups of blue cars. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a tape diagram around the list of cars, and then I'm going to section them off into equal size squares. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw, a square right around here, just like that. So I have my equal size, my tape diagram. Now it's time to section it off. How many is in our first group? Can y'all count those for me? Count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put a line right here to separate the first group, the first 4, from the second group. How many is in our second group? That's right, there's 4. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And so let me put another line to separate the two groups. And then my last group, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So I have 4 cars in each equal size square. In each equal group, I have 4 cars. So now it's time for us to add these up. So I'm going to grab my my red pencil, and I'm going to write the number, I'm going to write the addition sentence below. So we have 4 plus how many? Plus 4 more cars, plus how many more cars in my last equal size group? That's right, 4. Good job. Equals how much in all? Now it's time to add these pictures up individually, skip count, or we can do the repeated addition equation and do 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals how much? How many? How many toy blue cars do we have in all? I want you guys to try to figure and do this one out, okay? You can mash pause and then try to do this last one all by yourself. All right, now that you've tried and doing it, let's try 4 plus 4 is how much? What is 4 plus 4? 8. Good job. And then 8 plus 4. Let's use our mental math. Let's use our head. What's 8 plus 4? 12. Good job. So I know that 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. We have a total of 12 car toys in all in our tape diagram. We have 4 cars in the first group, 4 cars in the second group, and then we have 4 cars in our last group. So we have a total of 12 cars. And then how many equal size squares do we have? 3. So we have 3 equal sized groups, or 3 groups, 3 equal sized squares, 3 groups. 3 groups of what? What's in each group? We have 3 groups, but what is in each group? 3 groups of, that's right, 3 groups of 4 equals how many? What was the total that we just found? What did we just find? That's right, 3 groups of 12. 3 groups of 4 equals 12. So 3 groups, let me restate that. 3 groups of 4 equals 12. Good job. Give yourself a round of applause for completing today's lesson. And if you need to keep practicing to really learn this material so you'll know it for 3rd grade, just rewind, rewatch the video, keep practicing, do the worksheets that we'll be sending out, and I guess I'll see you next time, okay? All right, boys and girls, thank you for coming to Primary Central Classroom's e-learning by Miss Williamson. Today we went over lesson 4 in module 6, and then tomorrow we're going to begin working on lesson 5. Continue to watch the videos, rewind it, practice it, do the worksheets that I'll be sending out this week. I also think I'm going to upload a story this week. It's probably Wednesday or Thursday. Just give us a little break and do some little reading, and just keep coming back, watching the videos and practicing your math so you'll be ready for 3rd grade, okay? I'll see you next time.